This is part two to my optimization tutorial. We'll be covering coding, which is a very short segment. And then we're going to be moving into a scene management segment for those of you that would like to create an open world and wonder how to fit all of the magical stuff that makes it look wonderful and real into one scene without completely overriding it and crashing your game. So we're going to start off with some simple things. Just a few tips I'd give you with coding is just avoid using the update function. Normally, you'd use the update function for your inputs and maybe a few things like opening a door or something like that, where an input is required basically. Uh, Usually with player input, and maybe you'd use you'd use update for things like NPCs or enemies that constantly need to be checked as to what they're doing. Other than that, my best suggestion would be trying to avoid using it. There's two type of update functions. Now we got regular update, which updates every frame that your game can process, and then there's fixed. And sorry, my spelling. Uh, Fixed still can't spell. Fixed update. It doesn't update every frame. It updates every physics frame. So the physics has their own time step, as opposed to update, which is less frequent. Normally, fix update and things like mouse over and trigger stay are various types of update functions that constantly check the function itself, and I usually run on the physics time step, and that's about it for that. And one final tip for coding is to avoid putting costly functions into an update field. So a costly function could be a for loop. A costly function can also be a find. So where you're searching your entire scene for one game object, it's usually better just to create a reference to it. So this is um, a very costly function, for example. Uh, so now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this video, and we're going to mostly look at how to optimize an open world game um, to fit all the detail that it fits, yet still remain and it is an illusion, the illusion that it's all one scene. Now, if you ever explored Unity Scene Manager, you'll notice that there's a load scene mode dot additive, and what this does is this just adds a scene, so it doesn't unload your current scene. And I put together a demonstration on how this works. This is very important because I'll have a diagram that'll explain how you can go about using this in an open world. So basically, I have two scenes here. Sample scene, so this terrain right here, and then I have sample scene, I mean a B scene, which has a terrain somewhere off in the distance. And when I load it in, you'll notice that both of them will be present because I've loaded the scene additively. So once we press play, the scene has loaded down on the left here, so you notice that there's a B here, which is that scene. And now we got the terrain over here and then the terrain over here. So normally, and I'm going to explain how this would help you create an open world. So basically, you have a map here, and I'm going to pull it up. So we have terrain one. We'll just using terrains. These are all terrains here, and these are all your terrain numbers. And we're going to make each terrain, for example, a different scene. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 and 8. So let's say the player is in scene one. So the player is right here, and we have all these other scenes here loaded. Well, we don't really need them all to be loaded. So for example, let's say we only need 2, 6, and 5 to be loaded, because that's how far the player can see. What's the point in having the rest of these loaded in if we don't need them to be? It's just extra space and memory that is very unnecessary. So let's say the player moves to a different scene, so a different terrain. We could cost a function. So there's a function that Unity has. And I'll show you right now. Scene manager unload scene, and we'll say unload one. And this will just get rid of the scene entirely. So this will unload a scene, for example, but it also will maintain where you are, especially if your player isn't don't destroy unload. It won't cut them out. Um, so let's say the player somehow manages to get to number 6. The player is no wait, sorry, that's a 6. Let's do this one over here, 16. So this player gets over here. So now we can unload this. keep these unloaded and load in number 15, 11, and 12. That way you keep your resource management low, and you always, as he's moving throughout the scene, we're unloading and reloading these scenes in to get rid of concerned data. And that's it for this short tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below, and thank you for watching.